It's like, just calm down, folks. Just calm down.
Just calm down, folks. Just calm down.
Calm down. Just calm down.
Calm down, Stu Skinner.
We're not going to have a calm down moment in a few minutes, but we're going to be all right. Hey, it's Barry and Carson, the Best Boys Center Ice podcast, with our 2025 Stanley Cup playoff wrap-up show for Sunday. A couple of games tonight. One in the East, one in the West, and it was just that weird switcheroo of who was playing first.
Yes, it was.
The early game at 3:30. I was like, I still can't get over that. But
yeah, because of that long travel, they played the late game that night, and then they play the first game the next time. And it's like, wow, like they have like a 39-hour gap between landing in Dallas probably and then playing that next game.
I just think that when it comes to the playoffs, it's each league.
It's got to be prime. It's got to be prime time and a late window game right now.
It's got to be no later.
Well, and then the game that's going on now, the Cleveland Indiana Pacer game, the Pacers were up by 40 points already in the third quarter.
Yeah, and
so it's like they definitely took a miss in the swing on that one, but. Regardless, they still have to play the games, and it's just how it is. It's part of the grueling schedule the NHL's had all season. It's just how it is.
Yeah, but I just think that there's too many times that the NHL bows down to the NBA.
But the NBA is going to make more money on those networks than the NHL.
And the other leagues, they bow down to the NFL. It's like just each league should just be able to play their games when they want. Their fan base will be there. Like, there's no doubt about it. But what do I know? Anyways, this is Barry and Carson here tonight, and this is on Facebook Live. We'd love for you to join us. Send us messages, or both of our phones are out, so we can message back to you, and
I'm gonna share this.
You can tell everybody what you think about the second round of the playoffs so far, and you will get this. On the Refocused Radio Network on the Best Boys YouTube channel. Like, it's all updated right now with the stuff that from last night and Friday night as well. You can go there and get it. You can get it on Spreaker.com, and then also I do a little bit of a wrap up. I did a wrap up of the Oilers game the other night. Just did it today because it was late last night.
Yep, I watched that one. You weren't very thrilled.
No, I did a little bit of a rant, and we'll talk about that later on.
Oh, I'm ready to talk about that.
Yeah, tonight, the Dallas Stars came back to Dallas with a 1-1.
Did you do your shout outs?
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't do the shout outs. Shout out to you can get the Best Boys Center Ice podcast YouTube channel on the Refocused Radio Network. Also on the network, Shemaya Reed's I Am Refocused Radio, and our good buddy Reed Campos Jr. And Sweep the League. There's some great content on there. Other than the three podcasts we taught us, and then the other two, there's some other great content on there. Check it out, Refocused Radio Network. And it was the Mikko Rantanen show again. He is a bit of a surprise to me. Not that he's a great player, but I didn't think he would be going nuts. He's got how many points? He's got to be leading the.
Mikko, he should be at what, 18? 18 assists,
he's
18
got
points.
9 goals after
9 goals, 9 assists.
Yeah. So Dallas at home against the Winnipeg Jets, and it all starts with. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to change my first name. I'm going to change my first name to Rope, because I love Rope hits. He's just a great player. Got a power play goal. His 5th goal of the playoffs. 2:30 in to the game. Then Kyle Connor for the Jets tied it at 9:53. Thomas Harley got his 3rd at 15:20 of the first period. So we go into the second period, and Carson is. I love what he does. He'll break it down after I do the easy part. Niederreiter for Winnipeg gets things tied for the Jets at 10:07 of the second, And then the Stars took over in the third period. Petrovic gets his first of the playoffs at 3:51. Mikko Rantanen is ninth. I think he had 3 points again tonight.
Yeah.
And that was at 4:40. And then the capper was Wyatt Johnson at 14:08. And Otter played another great game. He made 23 saves tonight.
Yeah, 23 and 25.
There was a chant at American Airlines Center, Otter's better.
Yeah.
Otter's
better. I heard that one.
I heard tonight that. And in this playoffs, okay, we'll talk about this. Connor Hellebuck, who is up for the Vezina Trophy, is a front runner for the Hart Trophy, which is based upon regular season. He gets into the playoffs 2 years in a row now and has fallen apart. This is the third, fourth game that he has just totally fallen apart. So we were talking about it back and forth as the game was going on. He's not a playoff player. You want your best players, which he's one of their best players, to be the best in the playoffs too, and he's not even close.
No, he's not
to being that. If the Winnipeg Jets want to advance in this season, this playoff season, or if they even want to think about winning the Stanley Cup in the next few years, Connor Hellebuck cannot play like this in the playoffs.
Nope, he cannot. I agree. This is a very big concern for the Jets.
And you asked me a question. Do you think the Jets do something with him after?
They could. They very well could, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they get eliminated again this year, I think you maybe give him one more try, and if it happens again, then that's it. Like you gotta get something for him while you can, because you can't be losing every season because of that. That's not going to be. That's not the key to success, and he has not been very good the last 2 years in the playoffs when it counts. I mean, who cares? The regular season in retrospect doesn't matter.
No.
You can win the regular season, get to the playoffs, and like the Jets nearly did, get eliminated right away.
Yeah.
And that's it. Your season's over. And so he's been not very good. And like I told you, they said on the broadcast in the game, 63 games he played this year. He only had 3 times where he allowed 3 goals in one period. He's played 10 games in the playoffs, and it's happened 6 times already to him. This game, he probably very well could have been pulled in this game too, but when Dallas took their 5th goal, only 6 minutes left in the game, it's not worth it. Nothing's going to change in that time. So not a good trend for the Jets. But the Stars, you know what? They did really well in this game. Again, Otter was 23-25, so you look at first Winnipeg shot spreadsheet. So you have Niederreiter's goal that's right here by the dots. And then Kyle Connors, registers right here, but it was more of a wraparound goal tally. But Otter did a great job, obviously stopping everything he could, and the Stars seemed like they did a good job at the net front for the most part, keeping the Jets away. A lot of their shots are from a decent distance, so that's Otter's territory. You can see it. You go for Dallas, where they had 26 shots, so Hellebuck 21 and 26, but look at all these close range shots right here. So you got Petrovic's goal right here, which I'll talk about shortly. Wyatt Johnston's finisher goal. Rupe Hint's first goal, his opening goal of the game. You have Thomas Harley's right here, and then Mikko Rantanen, who had tons of space just to work down the slot, and he picked the corner and he got it. But the big controversy in this game that a lot of people are talking about is Petrovic's goal. I don't know if you saw the highlight of this goal or not. They were questioning whether it was kicked in or not, because when the puck had gone around, Rantanen had dished the puck off, and Petrovic was skating down by the goal line. So I don't know if you can see the cursor, but right in front of where his name is right now, he's just skating down in front of the dots, and puck comes near his feet and he can't really do anything with it. So he angles his skate, and the puck gets pushed off his skate and ends up in the net. But Hellebuck hits the puck and tries to save it, and he can't. It hits him like twice, and it goes in the net. So people are thinking that it's a kicking motion. I personally don't think it was, but even in the fact that it was, Hellebuck makes the attempt to save it. He doesn't. He touches it. It goes in the goal. I think that counts all day long.
I agree with you too. Okay, if he was there and he did the kicking motion and it went straight in, didn't hit anybody else, didn't hit Hellebuck, that's a kicking motion. But if it hit Hellebuck twice, he had 2 opportunities to stop the puck. No, it's not a kicking motion.
And even then, you know what? I get it. It's a tide shifting game, but you have 16 minutes left to get back in the game, and they
Yeah.
didn't. Literally less than a minute later, Rantanen scored his goal, and that's all she wrote. So
Yeah.
big one for the Stars to get this game, and shift the series back their way. Obviously, they got home ice advantage now because they won in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's in big trouble if they lose Game 4 because Dallas has already beaten them there. They've seemed to figure out how to beat Hellebuck already. They've scored a lot of goals. Winnipeg hasn't really scored all too much yet, or at least been able to consistently keep up with Dallas. Their key to next game is going to be a lot more closer range shots, a lot more traffic in front, and Hellebuck's got to find his game. He's got to, because this Dallas team is too loaded for him to keep playing this way. He's going to get eaten alive the rest of the series if he doesn't.
Yeah, so Dallas now takes a 2-1 lead in the second round against Winnipeg. And let's see, Game 4 will be on a Tuesday night in Dallas at American Airlines Center. Now, the second game tonight was Toronto and Florida in South Florida. And this one was, if you want to say total dominance by one team over another, this was the game. And by Florida won 2-0. All right. And they outshot them 37-23. But Toronto shot totals: first period 4, second period 8, and third period 11. So they got 4 in the first period.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm saying total domination by Florida, but it was only 1-0 through
most
the
of this
first
game.
2 periods, most of the game, until about the 12-minute mark of the third period, when Sam Bennett kind of put the insurance capper on it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, Florida dominated the game, but Florida had so many opportunities to put this game away and didn't, and you as much as the Leafs are the Leafs, you can't let a good team like Toronto stick around. And I know Wolfie Wall had a good game, but you've got to put this team away. It should be 4-5-0. They were lucky to get the 2-0 win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they had plenty of chances in the first period. They had 4 power plays, and but that killed Toronto. They were undisciplined.
Yeah,
they were undisciplined, and that kills your momentum when half the first period you're playing down a man.
Yeah.
You can't get any traction that way. And then they kind of got it back in the second, where they had 3 power plays and Toronto didn't score on any of those. So just as much as Florida could have put this away, Toronto could have climbed back in it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They had a key opportunity in the third period. Matthew Nyes had a breakaway on the interference penalty by Ekman Larson, and he didn't score. It was stopped by Bob. And we've seen Toronto in this situation before. I mean, they are not notoriously, obviously, a good playoff team. They get bounced early, and I think the momentum has completely shifted back in Florida's favor, because they know they've won games at Toronto before. They know how to do it, and the Leafs are just trying not to be themselves again.
Yeah.
And tonight they didn't look amazing. I give the edge of this point to Florida because they're the more experienced team. They know how to win these kinds of series, and you're right. They were lucky to win this game because they had so many chances to put away and they didn't. But I mean, luck will find good teams. They got it done. And Bob was being Bob in this game. He stopped everything he could, obviously. So he's been the key for the Panthers in this game to win it. And I do give the momentum now to Florida, because they came back with their backs against the wall. They took both games at home. Toronto, again, 2 games in a row, have opportunities to climb back in it or take the game over. They could have won last game, right?
Yeah.
They could have won an OT. They didn't win an OT. Marchand scored that goal. Tonight, they have another opportunity in Game 4 to take a 3-1 lead, and they get dominated on the shot board, take 4 penalties in the first period, and that's all she wrote. Florida wins. So again, Toronto, 23 shots. Bob had a shutout. So they had a lot of honestly good opportunities in front of the net, but Bob's a world-class goalie, and they've got to work harder to get it past him, because he's a playoff performer. He's won the Stanley Cup. He knows what it takes. You go other side to Florida, a lot more shots, 37 in comparison to the 21 or 23 that Florida. So they outshot Toronto by 14 shots. Again, really good opportunities. You see 5 or 6 just in this little spot right between the dots. Tons of shots within the dots. Lots of point traffic too. So they're getting pucks on Woll, and he played a great game, but his team, for the most part, didn't show up. you know, I don't know. I look at the Maple Leafs. Nylander's played really good this postseason. He's had a lot of points, a lot of goals. Marner's played really well, but I just think, and Tavares too. Tavares has been a really key factor for that team. But the one guy who really hasn't is Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
Where
We've
is he?
hardly heard from him.
Where is he? He's not.
Yeah.
He scored a couple goals this postseason. Great. I mean, he's the team captain. He's got to lead by example. And right now, he's being left behind.
Yeah.
And it's a concerning factor if you're a Leafs fan. I think Florida gets this done in 6.
Yeah.
The Leafs had their chance to take this series over. They didn't. Those fans are going to be nervous in Game 5. The players are probably going to be nervous because they don't want to repeat history again and be the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I give it to Florida at this point.
So we talked about what the Winnipeg Jets might have to do if they don't win this playoff round. Well, if Toronto doesn't win and they wind up losing to Florida and getting.
There's more questions for them if they do.
They gotta do you break up and do you start over again?
Well, there's been tons of noise around Marner leaving in the offseason, signing elsewhere because I believe he's a UFA.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him going somewhere else. I think he could be a great piece in another team and maybe be able to be that more leadership role. I think they need to break that up. Honestly, if the Leafs keep losing, there's no point in keeping that tandem together because it's not working, obviously.
No.
Something's not right there. And whether you'd get a good haul for those guys, any one of them that you give away, but you got to do something else because the literal definition of insanity is doing the same things over again, repeating and expecting the same results. So the Leafs have gotten good players over time, but the core and the dynamic of the team and the makeup of the team has stayed the same, where it's centered around the core 4. And there's not that's all they have is the core 4. They have some great depth guys like, Nyes. Even I wouldn't call him a depth guy, but he's not part of that core 4. But Nyes, Max Domi, Pacioretty, they got him. But they don't have that guy that's just going to really tick you off and pester you. And that's like a Marchand or a Kachuk. Every Stanley Cup champion team has that player, and the Leafs have never gotten that guy. The one guy they have on their roster that could is Ryan Reeves, and he hasn't played in the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
But their identity stays the same, and that's why the Leafs don't win.
And
simple as that.
I've said this before, and this goes back to like the 60s and 70s and 80s with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You would look at the team on paper when they had Lanny McDonald and Darryl Sittler and all these great players on the Leafs, and they looked great in the regular season,
but they couldn't get it done.
Apart. It's the formula of the Toronto Maple Leafs is not just in recent history; it's in long-term history of this hockey club.
And those guys just know that there's that stigma there.
Yeah,
that they can't. They've always got the most pressure on their backs because, much like the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, this is their year to win. This is their year to win every stinking year, and it never happens. They never get anywhere. In their franchise history, the Leafs have never made it past the second round in the playoffs, and this was their opportunity, and they looked good in games 1 and 2. Games 3 and 4. Game 3 they didn't look too bad, but they didn't win it. And tonight they just laid an egg. They laid a dud. They didn't play that well.
Now you open the door to the defending Stanley Cup champions, who are now on a roll, to take this series, like you said, in 6 games and reverse sweep the Leafs.
Yeah. And I mean, I look at, even I give tons of credit to Wolf. He's looked really good. But depending how long Stolarz is out, which I imagine will be the rest of this series because he hasn't skated yet.
Mm-hmm.
If I look between him and Bob, I take Bob all the way because Bob has the playoff pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
And, does no disrespect to Woll, he's a great goalie, but Bob just knows how to get it done. He's won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
He's won it. He knows what it takes. And a lot of those guys on the Panthers were on that team last year, or even in previous years, have been with a team that's made a deep run, or maybe won the Cup. I'm not sure. But the Leafs just don't have that. Don't have that experience. And I think teams like Florida can just eat them alive in that aspect. And I always say this, I don't do it on purpose to rag on the Leafs, but it's just true. Like they don't have that championship pedigree, championship DNA, championship habits. They don't, because the organization itself doesn't change anything. They keep the same guys. They center the team around the core, and that's it. And there's no other identity to the Leafs. And it's showing. If those big guys aren't scoring, like, okay, we look at the Oilers. All their forwards have scored in the playoffs. If you
Mhm.
take away the core, for the most part, the Leafs haven't done much anything.
Yeah.
Like Pacioretty's had a couple goals. Domi had the OT winner last series. Obviously, Nyes had a great run, but other guys just haven't really done anything other than those guys.
And okay, yeah, if you look at the franchise as a whole, yeah, they've won what 12, 13 Stanley Cups, but all before
Expansion.
1957.
Yeah.
And
So I
when it
mean,
was
when
like
the
six
league was only
teams,
6 teams back then.
so it's like they haven't evolved at all. And you're right, they are every year. It's the Leafs year. It's the same as, like you said, it's the same as the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then it gets into your head. You get into the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, you're
It's
just thinking,
different.
oh, here we
Well,
go again. And
and
then
the
it gets
Leafs
into
are a
your head.
very good team. They're a very good hockey team. Okay, they're
Yeah,
a great team. They have great players, but they just don't have that DNA to get it done in the playoffs. That's
no,
it. They just get to the playoffs and they fold. They
yeah,
fold when adversity hits. They fold, and there's a lot more pressure that gets put on them than any other team because of the expectations that the Leafs have on them. Even if they were to beat Florida, I don't see the Leafs winning the Stanley Cup. I
no,
don't. They don't have that grit to just get it done and win the freaking thing. They don't have that right now.
they don't have what it takes. So that series is all tied at 2, and again, that game 5 in Toronto will be on Tuesday. Okay, let's go to tomorrow night's action. A couple of more games. The first one, it's a 6 o'clock Central Time start. Washington Capitals in Carolina against the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes lead the series 2-1, and at this point, I just the Caps may win another game, whether it's maybe not in Carolina, but maybe they'll win
Game 5.
game 5. I just don't see Washington. I think Washington is one of those like Toronto. They, great regular season, Eastern Conference, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, but I don't think they have the firepower and everything to match the Hurricanes.
Nope. And I mean, I've said it. Both of these teams, I just don't see either of these teams winning the Stanley Cup, to be honest with you, because there's not that offensive firepower on either of these teams. I mean, okay, Washington had Ovechkin, who did a great job this season, but the Canes have really stumped Washington's ability to score goals.
Mhm.
But the Canes, in their own right, really can't score many goals either. And
No.
that's at this point, you have to be able to score. And I mean, it's proven in the years past for Carolina that they get to a team like Florida who can put the puck in the net, and it makes it harder for them because they're such a defensively minded team.
Mhm.
I picked Washington winning this series, and I'll keep standing by that until they're not. But they've got to win Game 4. If they don't, I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat the Canes 3 times in a row, especially having to play in Raleigh. What would be, um, you know, technically tomorrow and then Game 6, but that's not going to be an easy task. But
Mm.
I mean, if Carolina wins it, you might as well just begin wrapping the present up because it's going to be done. But you never know what kind of Washington team shows up. But I've said it. If they can shut Ovechkin down, that's the big thing for the Caps. If they don't have him, they're done.
Yeah.
He is the identity of that team, and he's their scoring identity. And if he can't, the Caps only scored 4 goals this series.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the key. That's not
Can't
good
win if
enough
you
at
only
all.
scored 4 goals in 3 games.
No.
The nightcap tomorrow night, which is going to be 8:30 our time, is the Oilers at home to the Vegas Golden Knights after that dramatic buzzer beater by the Knights to beat the Oilers with like 4.4 seconds left. They're back in the series now. The Oilers still lead 2-1. Um, okay, here we go.
Do you want me to go first so that way you can get your little
Yeah,
rant done?
yeah. You go first.
Okay. Because Oilers are your team, right? We'll
Yeah.
let you get in your rant. I have Vegas winning tomorrow again. And this is why. Oilers lost in a heartbreaking fashion, 0.4 seconds or whatever left in the game. Stu Skinner is not that guy. And you're going to go on this in a minute. And he's going to have to play tomorrow because Pickard's still not ready. He's hurt. Aiden Hill's a better performer in the playoffs than Stu Skinner.
Yeah.
And I think the Knights gained so much momentum off of winning that game that it's almost, I don't want to say probably undermined how much momentum they gained from winning that game. I mean, they were probably that close to getting on a 3-0 deficit, and they won Game
Mhm.
4. And where they had to be the Oilers and come from behind and win it. I think Vegas is going to have the message in this game. Let's just stomp on their throats, take advantage of a goalie that doesn't have confidence right now. And if they need to score 8, 9 goals to show it. And so for that reason, I do have Vegas winning this game and extending the road team winning streak, just because I think Stu Skinner's not ready for this moment. And you can go now. I'm gonna set the precedent here. We're gonna let Mr. Oiler fan here take over his opinion, because he made a TikTok earlier talking about this, but this should be a good little 5-minute segment, folks. So let's see what he's got to say.
I, as much as it pains me to say it, I agree with you, Carson. I think Vegas will win Game 4 in Edmonton. It's going to be, it's not a case of the Oilers not going to be able to score on Adin Hill. It's going to be Stu Skinner having to be between the pipes and being able to stop Vegas from scoring, and he can't do it. Stu Skinner, in my opinion, is the worst playoff goaltender I have ever seen. And last year, I took it a little bit easy on him because he did get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes, he did
in Game 7. And
but what did it take for him to get there?
Yeah, it took having to be pulled in the Vancouver series. All right, so he adjusted himself after he got pulled in the Vancouver series last year. Sure. This year, he gets pulled after the first 2 games of the LA series. And then now he has an opportunity, because Pick is out injured, to come be the hero again. And he's the zero again. Stu Skinner, this game will determine the future of Stuart Skinner in Edmonton.
Yep.
And if I was the general manager of the team, I'd be shopping him as soon as the Oilers are out of the playoffs and saying, we've rode you for 2-3 years now as the starting goaltender, and you've proven nothing.
No.
It is time to move on from Stu Skinner, because he has no confidence. And even though in the locker room, and I said this on the TikTok, even though in the locker room, the guys will say in the camera they are confident with Stu Skinner.
They have to say that.
They are not confident. You can tell the difference when Stu Skinner's in the net compared to Calvin Pickard. They have so much more confidence with Calvin Pickard than they do with Stu Skinner.
Yeah, it's such a weird idea to think of it that way, because I've seen it this year with the Penguins games. When Jari was in his cold streak, which was pretty much the whole season, the Penguins played so much different when Ned was playing versus Jari. Ned was playing, and it was like they had so much more fire under their asses to take the game over. And even Ned showed emotion when he would get pulled. Like, he had the one game against Philly towards the end of the year. Meanwhile, at this point, the Penguins are pretty much not done, but done. I mean, they're way down in the standings. They're down 3-0 in the game against the Flyers. Ned gets pulled out, and he is fired up. He's upset at Mike Sullivan for pulling him out, gets to the bench, takes his mask off, and slams the door behind him and starts yelling at the team to wake up.
Yeah.
And then they go on that game, and even though it doesn't matter at this point, they win the game in overtime, 5-4.
That's a passionate goaltender.
That's a passionate who is showing that he cares and that he knows as well that he's not doing well. But Stu, after this game yesterday, I didn't really, again, I get it, they're media trained for whatever, but I didn't really agree with what he had said post-game, which I sent to you, that he said he felt like he gave the team everything that he could to try to help him win it. Well, he made plenty of costly mistakes. He had the Nicholas Waugh goal that, I get it's an awkward save opportunity, kind of the puck almost, it looked like he was trying to lodge it between his mask and his shoulder. But by doing that, he fell down and dropped the puck, and there you go, Nick Waugh's an open net. Then 40 seconds later, 44, whatever it was, Riley Smith knifes through the defense, and Stu Skinner has the 5-hole wide open. Like I said yesterday, he could probably pick 10, 15 pucks between his legs with how they were open. And then, Carlson's goal, I'll give him that one. That was a great play. But then the winning goal. Leon Draisaitl, yes, he bat the puck in, but number one, he doesn't know how much time is left at the time, because he's not looking at the clock. He's looking at the puck, and he's doing what he can to keep it out. But what is Stu doing, sliding all the way out of the net, like way out of the net? He's like a few feet out, and he's lucky it didn't go right in off of him, because it easily could have gone off his skates, and that would have been in. That would have been in the goal. Because that is a play by Riley Smith, who I'm not a big fan of because of what he did to Pittsburgh. That drove me crazy, that he just ran us around the rosy and then left, or got traded because he was not trying, or it seemed like to me it wasn't. But that is a play made by a playoff veteran player who just made such a smart decision there just to put it on the net because Stu was just swimming. And you said it in your post game. We said it last night. If he would have just stayed put, that was going to OT. Riley Smith wouldn't have scored that goal because he would have had no room to shoot at. But I agree with you, and you'll probably keep going on for a couple minutes about it. But he's just not a playoff performer, and this game is going to determine his future in Edmonton, and it should because he made it to the final last year. But it took him getting pulled in Vancouver because he left in so many bad goals, and he within a minute or two he can let in 2 or 3 because he just loses it. And this is the biggest game of his career. If he if they lose and picks healthy, Stuart Skinner I think is gone out of Edmonton, or at least they're going to do something with him. Whether they send him down to Bakersfield for a while and let him develop there, or they trade him and try to get a different goalie in the room. But I agree, it's a very big game for him. But he is not. He's just average. He's an average goalie. At
He
best.
is an average. He's a backup. He's a backup goaltender, and he was a backup goaltender when he was out through this whole thing. And then all of a sudden he had to become the starter, and it was just only reason why is because Jack Campbell totally fell apart in his first 2 years with the Oilers.
You wonder, do the Oilers give him another try if they really can see something in the preseason this year that he looks like back to normal form? If they can keep pick and get Jack Campbell back to where he was, because people often overlook or forget that he was elite in Toronto, and that's the reason the Oilers got him, is because he was really good in Toronto, and then it just time ran out.
Yeah,
but if it works, I mean, they're on the hook for a lot more money with him than they are with Stu.
Yeah.
So if you can make that work, but he's got it. Stu's just he's just a head case. He loses it mentally. That's the problem for him.
And I agree with you, Carr. It's like this game will determine his future. But if it was if I had a choice, if I had a decision to make in this, I would say even if he has a good game and the Oilers win and then the pick comes back, I just say it's just too risky to keep him there. Stuart Skinner as a person is a nice.
He's an Edmontonian.
He's from Edmonton. He grew up watching the Oilers, but he is just not that guy. And you've got to stop the bleeding at some point.
Well, and I mean, I know we talk about Hellebuck, and there's a lot of choices to be made for the Jets on that, depending because he's just been bad, but in the playoffs. But we know what he's capable of because he's won so many freaking games this year. But Stu, other than last year, all year this year, how many times did you complain to me that he just couldn't keep the puck out of the net? Mm-hmm. That he couldn't stop the puck, he couldn't stop the bleeding, and it's just like he just mentally just loses it. Like he just can't. He doesn't believe in himself, and I said it yesterday to you after the game that it's almost like he just hopes that the puck's going to hit him and that he can catch it or hold it.
Well, why do you think that all regular season long that the Oilers were the worst first period team in the NHL? Because Stu Skinner would let in goals and
he just looks like he's off balance, like Panger said and you said yesterday. He just looks like he's unsteady on his feet. Like he just doesn't. I don't know. Like the moment's almost too big for him.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. The Oilers and Knights go at 8:30 tomorrow.
It's either going to be really good or really bad.
It's going to be really good or it's good. Yeah. So, I just think the Golden Knights have a great opportunity here to take advantage of a goaltender who has no confidence. And if I was coaching the Knights, I'd be saying fire from anywhere. Fire from anywhere.
Yeah, if they get 50 shots, do it.
There was a series in 1990, Edmonton and Winnipeg. Billy Ranford was the goaltender. It was in the first round. Billy Ranford was the goaltender. I think it was the first game of that series. And he let in some soft goals. And all you can hear the coaches at the bench going, fire from anywhere, fire from anywhere, fire from anywhere. But the difference was Bill Ranford picked his game up after that, stopped those shots, and the Oilers went on to win the series, and eventually the Stanley Cup that year. But Stu Skinner, he lets in a goal, he lets in 2 goals, and he messed up. So, yeah, if I'm coaching Vegas, fire from anywhere. Fire from anywhere.
You might catch it. You might catch him from behind the blue line. If you just bounce the puck on him, you might catch him.
Even if you don't have anybody in front of the net, there's no confidence in Stu being able to make a solid save. It's time to Edmonton fans. It's time to move on from Stu Skinner. I'm not going to bash him and say he's like some of the people that have done. I just think as the organization.
It's just not a good fit for him. I think being a hometown kid, too much pressure on him. I think it's too much pressure on him. He's an Edmonton kid. He's got to be a hometown hero, and he's not right now. He almost was last year if they would have won the cup. But I hate to say it, being blunt, but they didn't. They didn't win the cup. So it's like nothing. It's like, second place to 30th, 31st, 32nd place now. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean anything. So big game for the Oilers. But yeah, the Knights, I wouldn't be surprised if they have 40, 50 shots tomorrow just because they're gonna be shooting it.
Yeah.
And that's the most heartbreaking way to lose a game. And that's got to rattle your locker room. Come on, how often does a team lose a game with less than a second left in the game?
Yeah, exactly. So
never.
We'll see how Vegas comes out, if they can continue the momentum, or if the Oilers will just come out and just say this isn't going to happen again, and we're going to beat. So a lot of times I expect after a game like this, the Oilers get a little pissy. Draisaitl's going to be a little pissy. When he gets a little pissy, he gets his game up.
Mm-hmm.
McDavid's going to want to do something. So offensively, I don't have a problem with the Oilers. I think they're going to be out there. They're going to be doing really. They're going to be firing.
It's just going to be up to one guy.
And I hate to put more pressure on Stu, but Stu, if you don't play well, you might as well just say if Pick is healthy in Game 5, you're never going to play between the pipes in an Oiler uniform again.
Yep.
Enough said. We're going to move on. We'll be on after the game tomorrow night. So if it starts at 8:30, you can probably look at us being on the air about
11:30. And I've got to quickly shout out our new graphic on the bracket here.
Yeah.
So I have to first give credit to TSN for the graphics again. I did it in our title page, but for the stats and the shot board and stuff, I use TSN, like I said, because they show that stuff. And then again, credit to Barstool Sports because of the T-shirt, the Biz Idiot shirt, which if you don't know what that is, tonight at the Panthers Leafs game, Keith Yandel, an alumnus of the Panthers and as well a member of Spit and Chicklets, who is a hockey podcast that works under Barstool Sports. They're the people that made the popular drink Pink Whitney. So if you drink Pink Whitney, then these are the people that are responsible for coming up with that. But they had a shirt because of Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty, who's on the TNT broadcast, who's promoted himself to be a ginormous Leafs fan. And so Keith Yandel at this game tonight, banging the drum at the Panthers game to fire the crowd up. And on the drum, during his banging it, they grabbed this T-shirt, this Biz Idiot shirt, and put it on the drum, and he starts banging on that. So they made the shirt, and I'm considering I might have to look at buying one of those. But I had to put that on here because, it's all jokes. I love what Biz does for it. It's funny. He's a great personality for the game. You need somebody like that and like PK who have vibrant personalities like that, but it's just more of a funny, poking fun because the Leafs lost, and we got to kind of keep it up there for as long as I think that they're in it.
Yeah, so that's funny. Great stuff.
Then maybe tomorrow night, if the Oilers lose, I'll have to put a ginormous picture of Stu Skinner on there.
Yeah, Stu.
Everybody, you gotta when you tune in tomorrow, whether it's tomorrow or the day after that, when you open this clip, you might see Dad laughing for the first little bit of the calm down folks thing, but as soon as that's over, you're going to see either a frown or a straight face or a smile. And we're going to see, I have a feeling it's going to be not very good, but we'll see. You never know. Stu could post a 50 save shutout tomorrow. For all you know.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but it should be nice if it did. All right, we're going to wrap things up tonight. We'll be on tomorrow, like I said, around about 11:30 after the night's Oilers game.
Yep.
Thanks, Carr, for all the great graphics and all the intro and the Biz Idiot T-shirts.
Yep.
That's funny. So until we speak again tomorrow, you'll be able to get this on the Best Boy Center Ice Podcast YouTube channel. Tomorrow, it'll be reposted here a couple of times tonight on Facebook. We'll both repost it. And we just love doing this, as I say every night.
Sure do.
It's just best time of the year. So until we talk again tomorrow, in the meantime and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.
Vegas, I'll pay you to make my dad mad tomorrow. We need a rant. We need a rant.
Oh, we did another rant. Oh, make it worse, folks. Make it worse.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, son.
Bye, Dad.